Here in South Africa, there are a few facts that we all sort of know, but nowhere has it been documented with references and it being made into an academic document. That has changed with this book that was written by my friend called Kill the Boer, and then underneath it says Government Complicity in South Africa's Brutal Farm Murders. Now, before I talk about the facts inside the book, there are just a few things that I need to point out. Some people are accusing Ernst of doing this for the money, of trampling on other people's graves to make a quick buck out of it. And for that reason, I'm going to tell you now that even though Ernst has worked on this book for 3 years, he's not going to take any royalties out of it. Also, for the same reason, I'm not going to provide any affiliate links to this book in the description. If you decide to buy it after watching this video, you can just Google Kill the Boer book and you'll find the appropriate links. I'm going to start with the thing that really touched me the deepest. And that is two things that have been pointed out inside this book. The first one is a gang leader from Cape Town who was in jail for farm murders, who has confessed that he got his orders to kill the farmers from Julius Malema himself. The other one is an ANC member who also killed people, who then later confessed to Ernst Roets and AfriForum that he killed them because he got the orders directly from Luthuli House, which is the ANC's headquarters. Now, these are very, very, very serious allegations, but what really solidifies the argument of the government's complicity in farm murders for me is the fact that none of these has been investigated. Both were thrown under the rug. I was talking to Ernst Roets about this specific point in an interview at the Kill the Boer book launch.
Yes, so there was an audio clip that was played on Carte Blanche, the current affairs show, more than a year ago, where a general of the 28 prison gang said, he was recorded having said that Julius Malema came to speak to them in prison, and he spoke to them about farm murders, and he asked them when he comes out, if they need weapons to kill farmers, they can come to him. And that was recorded and it was aired on Carte Blanche, and there's been no investigation into that. It's an extremely serious allegation, and it hasn't even been investigated. And then also, I spoke during the course of writing this book, I was contacted by someone from prison who said to me he needs to speak to me urgently, he has information that he wants to share with me. I went to see him, he said to me that he has committed a farm murder, and he said that he was a member of Mkhonto Isizwe, which is of course the military wing of the ANC, and he said that the ANC told him to murder that farmer, and when he did so and when he was caught, they pretended like they didn't know who he was.
While we were at the book launch, an interesting development was that the current leader of the third biggest party in South Africa, the EFF, Julius Malema, tweeted out that he was maybe behind farm murders. Something that Ernst also said during the interview that pointed to government complicity was:
the book is about how and why the South African government should be regarded as complicit, and there are a variety of reasons for that. As a matter of fact, there are 10 different reasons which I highlight in the book. One of them is, for example, the fact that in 2007, according to government statistics, there was a 25% increase in farm attacks, and the government's response to this is, we're not going to release any more statistics about this. Other than that, we find that there's repeated incidents of hate speech towards white farmers by even the state president, negative stereotyping of farmers, and in the book I also tell some stories of people cases of incidents where the ANC seem to have been involved with the attacks to some extent, and where members of the police seem to have been involved.
One of the most touching stories in this book was the story of Mirihandra Yenis, where she told about her husband that was murdered in front of her and her children. Emotions were running high at the book launch event while she was telling this story to us.
We struggled, I pulled back. At that stage, my daughter, who was 6, put up her little hand and she said, "I've got money. You can take my money. I've got a piggy bank." And I just wanted the floor to swallow her. I showed her, don't say anything. I didn't want them to turn around. I didn't want them to see her or look at her. As they turned around towards her, my husband got up for the very last time. He gave 2 steps forward and he said, "Please, It sounded like he was crying, which he was. And then the one guy said, "Oh, just kill him, brother. Just kill him." The shot rang out, and it hit him between the eyes, right in front of us. She said to me the other night, "Mommy, they killed me too that night." And I said to her, "No, she's 8 years old now." I said to her, "You're not dead. We're still here. I need to show them that life can still be good, even though they've seen the worst." I said to her, "You're still alive. We're still here." She said, "No, they killed me too."
While we were sitting there and the emotions were running high, we just heard about another farm murder that just happened in Hartbeespoort. What sets these farm murders apart from all the other murders in the country is the absolute brutality. I'm going to read you a few stories from the book about the torture and brutality of these murders. The first story is of Trevor Rees. He was tortured with pliers, electric pliers, and then bleach were forced down his throat to kill him. The second was Nikki Simpson. She was tortured with an electric drill. They drilled holes into her feet, her legs, and her hands. The third one I want to talk about is Gwen Cooks. She was stripped naked and asked if she wanted to be raped or shot. She said she would rather be shot. Then she was tortured with cooking oil and melted plastic. This is the exact same kind of torture that was used in ANC terrorist death camps before the takeover in 1994. But I'll talk about that later. Since this book was finished writing, there have been 34 farm murders this year alone. At the event, they read the names and the ages of all of those people out. And what really touched me was the fact that most of them were over 70 years old. These attackers are preying on the elderly and sometimes the children and women. One of the most significant things that Ernst Roets points out in this book is the method of torture that was used in the ANC death camps abroad in the past regime are the exact same methods sometimes used in farm attacks. I don't really want to go into detail on these methods, but I'll quickly read some of them to you. The dripping of melted plastic and warm cooking oil onto the victims, like we just saw what happened to one of the victims. The whipping with electric cables on the soles of feet is another method that is widely used in farm attacks. Another method is called ukumpompa. It's where the cheeks of the victim are inflated and then they are slapped through the face with a shoe to pop their eardrums. These are just a few examples of the torture method learned in ANC death camps that are also used in farm attacks today. Talking too much about the numbers won't do justice to the mood of this video, but in the book the numbers are very clearly stated. I have made a video about the exact numbers of the killings as well as how the media report on them. A video link will be in the description. But just one thing that I want to point out in this video is that black on white killings are 5,750% higher than white on black killings. Yet, the media are 11 times more likely to report on a white on black incident than they are to report on a black on white incident. If you want to know more about the numbers, you can also buy the book or go watch the video that I made about them. The last point that I want to get to is one that I have personal experience with. Many people in the media claim that these attacks are not racial, or in most cases not racial. To debunk that myth, I have a personal story to tell. This story isn't in the book because it happened many years ago when I was still a high school boy. My great uncle and aunt were tortured to death, and in the blood the attacker wrote 666 white devils on the walls of the house after he tortured them to death. Yet, the attack was not classified as a racial farm attack. Another event that was talked about in the book is one where the attackers in the farm attack yelled Die, die, white men, viva Julius Malema, while they were torturing the farmer to death. Yet, in the official statistics, this was also not a racial attack, or an attack with a racial motive. It's very easy to prove that the official statistics are skewed to hide the racial components of these attacks. Before I get to the bonus content, I just want you to, if you enjoy the content that I produce on this channel, subscribe to my channel, and also remember to like this video and comment and share it with all of your friends. It is especially important that you comment so that the ratings of this video can go up and more people can hear these stories. Let's take a look at the interview that I had after the launch of the book with Steve Hofmeyr. I'm standing here with Steve Hofmeyr, very famous Afrikaans singer and activist for Afrikaner and Boer rights. How are you, Steve?
Fantastic, Willem, thank you very much.
We were just here at the Kill the Boer book launch, and Steve, what were your thoughts sitting in there?
Yeah, they usually give you an opportunity to ask questions, but I've learned to put a guard in front of my mouth when I'm embittered, when I'm angry, when I'm frustrated. So I shut up. I sat there and listened to it. 10 years ago, when I started mentioning the disproportionate murders, it was taboo. I became the most boycotted white man in Africa for being a racist. 10 years later, there's a book about it. I'm telling you now, there's a white genocide. It will be tabooed from here onwards. I will be boycotted. 10 years from now, there will be a book to prove that. I'm just afraid, as they know, my famous quote is, the problem with the definition of genocide is that it's something that has already happened, and that is too late for me. So I'm sorry it's happening to my people. I'm sorry that my silences is letting a few of those murders through. We're working with the most conservative stats, which means we are overlooking some people who are dying tonight. And yeah, my heart is broken for my people. I wish I could fix my people, because then I can fix South Africa, and I'd like to be part of that process when it starts one day.
Well, we thank you for that, and as I said on Twitter, you were always my favorite racist. Thank you guys for watching, and please remember to share this with as many people as you can, so that these stories can get out there and the silence around farm murders can be put to sleep once and for all.